This video is going to show how I installed a Minn Kota Riptide Instinct Quest trolling motor on a Boston Whaler 240 Vantage boat. I really don't show the actual drilling, cutting, and installation itself, but I do show the prep you need to do, what parts I used, and the end results after the install is done. So just stick with it and you'll find out what you need to know. Before I even ordered the motor, I made a life-size mock-up out of cardboard and PVC pipe to verify how the motor would fit on the boat and determine the shaft length. This is the mounting setup I'm going to use. This is a shuttle slide rotating mount. I think it's an SS 9.5R. This is what's specified for my motor, which is a Minn Kota Riptide Instinct Quest. Along with this mount, I also got this plate here that is needed to make the installation if you're going to use the quick release plate here. So shuttle slide will sell you that. Along with that, from shuttle slide, I also got the backing plate. That backing plate is going to get cut in half and will support these back 3 bolts. The front 3 are going to be sticking out over the bow of the boat. You'll see that when we get the install done. This white plate here, puck, is the quick release for the Minn Kota motor. It has a corresponding piece that fits in the motor, and you can just put the motor right on top of this. It settles down and you slide a bar through these 2 holes and the motor locks in, so it's easy to get it on and off, which you kind of want, especially when you're dealing with a 90-pound motor, in case you have any problems. I intend on leaving it on all the time, but if you do want to get it off, that's a nice way to go. So the whole thing is going to get mounted on this plate. This is 1/2-inch aluminum, 11 wide, 20 long. I had this cut at the local fab shop. I'm going to drill holes, of course, and paint it and mount it later. The plate has been painted. I did a preliminary mount of the swivel onto the plate. What I mounted was, you can see down here, those 3 bolts are going to stick out over the bow of the boat. Then once we mount it, we're going to mount these 3 are going to go through the deck, and these 4 back here will also go through the deck. So that's next. Then we'll be ready to put the motor on. The boat is a Boston Whaler 240 Vantage. The trolling motor is going to go up here on the port side. The wires from the trolling motor are going to feed down through this hole in the bow hatch cover, and they'll then get terminated and attached to these 2 wires down here. This is the type of connector I used to extend the wires from the trolling motor, since they were only about 5 feet long. These are readily available from Amazon, Home Depot, etc. That'll happen once I stick the motor in. Then the wires continued through. I've already fed them through, obviously. The wires continue through this channel. It runs along the back of this backrest and behind the speaker framing. So I had to remove this backrest. It required taking out a couple of screws to hold brackets in down at the bottom and over here also, and then it's just slid off the brackets on top. Then to remove the speaker cover housing, I undid the screws and then had to cut the caulking that was all the way around to get it loose. And that just pulls out
The wire continues up from the bow, goes right down into this hole. I drilled, I think, a 1/2 inch hole or 3/4 inch, and then fed the wire down through here into this compartment. The wire continues down and goes into this trolling motor plug. This is a Minn Kota trolling motor plug. The wire is all 6 gauge, available at your big box store, and I terminated cut them to length and terminated them myself. The battery is a Lifetime 38.4 volt 100 amp hour. Not a well-known brand, but I'm taking a chance on it. It's about half the price of the more well-known brands. So this battery is about 65 pounds. I held it down with 2 ratchet straps that have brackets screwed into the fiberglass, and then the shipping padding that came with the battery, I put that at the bottom down here, right here. The battery sits in that. It looks, so I have a good cushion, and it looks like it should last forever. And this battery is not going to move. I went with their Lifetime's charger that they recommended. I think it's a 25 amp charger, and have that all wired in. Minn Kota, who manufactures the motor I'm going to use, recommends a 60 amp breaker, so I used theirs, and it's mounted right up here.
We're gonna swivel here. Now it's swiveled into position. And let's deploy. You can see how it kind of made a little noise and it moved a little. It did not deploy. So what I've had to do in this situation is go up and give her a press in like that, deploy again, and then it works. Maybe 1/3 or 1/2 the time. That's what it takes. Here we are out on the water with the motor installed. One thing you're going to notice right away here is that the motor sticks up quite a bit, and sitting at the helm, it definitely is a view obstruction that you've got to be aware of. The other thing that's not too noticeable here, but is occurring, is that we have a pretty noticeable list at idle here at rest to the port side. If you look at this motor, you've got the motor, which is 92 pounds, I think, the swivel bracket down below here, which maybe is 25, and then the plate another 15. So, you know, pushing 120 pounds hanging off here on the port side. I would rate this motor as too big for this size of a boat, at least if it's got to be mounted in this fashion. In the end, I can live with the view obstruction and the extra weight of this motor in order to have the functionality of a self-deployed trolling motor. Here we are at a beach. I got the anchor deployed, or the trolling motor deployed. I'm using it in anchor mode. I backed into the beach, and as I got in closer, I trimmed up the main motor, came in with the trolling motor pushing from the bow backwards. When I got in close, how deep I wanted to go, or shallow I suppose, I put down the power pole and hit the trolling motor anchor mode. And this motor's nice, probably like most if not all of them. It's got a jog feature. I'd gotten in a little crooked, I was able to hit a jog right, and it straightened me right out. So do not use this motor in this fashion. In other words, it's running, it's unattended essentially. Do not do this if there are any swimmers or other boats close by. This is only for something where there's no other boats or swimmers close by. This is, remember, even though it's a plastic propeller, you've got a motor running. But it does work good, you just got to use it with caution.